Welcome back to Cash Flow. Today we are going to talk about the fact that some of our popular platforms like Instagram and TikTok are naming people's feelings about money, which I actually love because it's bringing attention to a topic that people are so scared to talk about or feel judged talking about. But if you look out on these platforms now, you're going to see a bunch of terms like loud budgeting, doom spending, spaving, cash stuffing, you name it. There are about 10 of these that I've spotted recently, and I love them. I love them because, like I said, they're bringing conversations about money to the forefront. Sorry, I had something in my eye there. There we go. They're bringing conversations about money to the forefront, which we really need to do. It's tough times right now. Everybody that I'm talking to, both businesses and personal, kids getting out of college today, kids going into the trades today, it's hard to find jobs, and in a lot of cases, the pay is a little bit less. And it's pretty hard to operate without cash. So I like the fact that a lot of these are popping up because people are getting willing to talk to them. And I think we can apply them to businesses. So we're going to talk about them today. What we really want to know is how are some of these trendy sort of expressions also driving how you're running your business and how you can kind of keep your cash flow not immune to them, but be aware of them when you're dealing with cash in your business. So let's take them in order. The first one we've got is loud budgeting, which I absolutely love. This goes along the lines of, loud charitable contributions, right? You make a big announcement that you're announcing and supporting a particular charity, and it's really just a marketing ploy. This is the case where people go out there and say, hey, I'm cutting costs. I'm doing everything we need to do to, make my bottom line better, and I want the team to know it. I want the world to know it. I want my customers to know it. I want my vendors to know it. And while some of the actions that go behind things like that are appropriate, like the fact that you might push your vendors for better prices, or you might cut some excess spending that you're doing. Couple things about making it loud. One is nobody really cares. It's just bragging. Second is, though, you don't want to shift your mindset into, I am constantly cost cutting. And when you hear budgeting as an entrepreneur, although I'm trying to change the mentality around budgeting, most people when they hear the word budget think constraint. And the louder you are about constraint, the more you're actually constraining your own abundance work. Doesn't mean you don't need to cut costs sometimes, but there's no need to be bragging really loudly about it. Brag about your margin, not how you get there. Right? If you need to brag. Anyway, so that's loud budgeting. The second one, and I love this, my team actually loved this one too, is doom spending. And you can think about this a couple different ways, but it's really that emotional spending that we do in personal or in business. And I know that I am guilty sometimes of doom spending. My team will tell you I buy every new software out there. I buy every new app out there. And I've tried to get a little bit better about it because, quite honestly, it's kind of disguised boredom or panic, one or the other. And when it's disguised boredom, it's basically, I'm tired of what I'm doing. I want to try something new. And as business owners or as being successful in anything, really what drives that success is our ability to keep up a routine, to make it so boring that it happens itself. That boredom is actually sometimes a sign of discipline and real success. So just buying new stuff to redirect your attention can sometimes take your eye off the ball when it comes to making sure that the disciplines that need to be in place are happening. I find this in my trading, at my day trading as well. Same thing, the good day trading is boring because it's a routine. You're following a practice, you're following a particular edge, you're doing it consistently every single day. You're not letting your heart race at all the ups and downs of the market. You are just doing what you've got on your trading plan. So that's how boredom can sometimes drive us to spend because we think we need something new and exciting to make things better. The second is when panic can cause you to do that. And what will happen is you'll say, hey, my marketing's not working. I'm going to go pay an agency a whole bunch of money to fix this. And you do it knowing really in the back of your head that it's not something a stranger can just fix. You need to look at and understand what's driving your business, what does work, what doesn't work, the hard work of really getting at Why don't I have those views? Why don't I have those interactions? Do those interactions really drive the kinds of calls that I want so that I can make the sales that I need? Are my Google ads working? Those are the questions we need to be asking, not just doom spending, throwing money at a new thing to try and fix an old problem that we've already tried to fix 5 or 6 or 7 times. So that's my take on doom spending. The next one is spaving. And we all know this story, right? It's, I'm going to go to that store because they're having a sale and I can get 4 things for the price of 2, so I'm actually saving money. You're not actually saving money, you're spending money. You're spending less money than you might have spent if you needed whatever it was that you got. But if you don't need whatever you got, then you're actually not spaving, you're spending. And in the world of business, this goes something like, hey, this guy's offering me a bulk discount. I normally buy 100 of this thing. This guy's offering me a bulk discount to buy 1,000 of them. It's crazy. It usually is crazy. Probably they're trying to unload something that you probably don't want to have on your warehouse floor anyway. But unless you have a way to sell 1,000 things, which might mean drastically reducing your prices, which has all sorts of implications, then you're just spending for something you don't really even need. The real answer to that, and I love this sort of soundbite, is you don't save by spending. What you do is you just lose money a little bit slower. Same thing comes with a lot of times with inventory. You can see that for sure. But other examples of that are going out and buying equipment you're never going to use. One of the big things that happens at year end is people are like, oh, to keep from having a tax bill, I need to go spend a whole bunch of money. And they put it on a credit card to buy stuff they don't even really need in the business. It's just nice to have stuff, or not even nice to have. You often find it sitting on the shelf a year later. So spaving, also true in businesses, not the best solution. The best discount you can have is having cash sit in your account or be invested on your behalf. Okay, here's another one along the same lines called cash stuffing. It's a little bit like the opposite of spaving, but we all have, well, I do, I'm old enough to have the stories of our grandparents keeping individual chunks of cash in envelopes. They had an envelope for the groceries, they had an envelope for the newspaper, they had an envelope for tips, they had an envelope for the grocery store, and they literally would put cash in each of those envelopes. Now, these were folks who grew up during the Depression or were dealing with the Depression, and cash was really the only thing that worked, and you weren't sure you were going to always be able to get it out of the bank. So they had their own cash and they stuffed it. Well, the reality of banking now is really, really different, but the concept's not awful. And if you read books like Profit First, or really, a lot of different folks have talked about this, you can divide up the cash in your business into different buckets so that you're ready for things that are coming. The big one that I advise is tax savings. One of the things I always advise people is when you get paid, put away some money for taxes, no matter what. In your business where you can go get it when you need it because you're going to have to pay those taxes. That bill doesn't go away. That is one of the huge ones. Other people like to put away money for investing in business. They want to put away money for vacations, whatever it might be. You could still do that. I would just say don't set up too many, because then what you do is just end up spending money moving stuff from one envelope to the other. Okay? But pick the ones that are big for you, the ones that every year you're like, oh crap, I wish I'd saved money for that. Taxes, vacation, the unexpected heater failing in your house and you need to replace it, those kinds of things. And go ahead and set up even physical different accounts if you want to put that money in. So it's sort of the new digital way to do what our grandparents did the old day of cash stuffing and putting it under their mattress. Okay, let's go to the next one. And this one is money dysmorphia. This is a new term that's been out there a lot, and it's actually pretty important. I have found this with almost every client I've had at some point, or prospect that I've talked to, that their feelings about their actual situation financially don't equal the facts. And it can go either way. I have a number of clients still to this day, because feelings can be so embedded in us and they are part of such a belief pattern that we have and can't shake. And there are tons of podcasts, including some of my own, on that mindset and belief system that makes you think one thing or another. But a lot of people have this belief or feeling that things are not going well, even when they are. okay? And there's nothing wrong with it, except a lot of times they'll drive the car with those feelings and not look at the GPS, which is the actual facts about their money. So in some cases, if somebody's doing actually really well, but making decisions as if they're almost broke, they're not doing a great job as a business leader growing and securing the future of their business. As much as some people might say, oh, they're just being conservative, as a business owner, you're there to do a little bit more than just be conservative. You're there to grow wealth, to grow the value of your business. So that's one way. The opposite way is equally, if not more, as dangerous, where you got this feeling everything's going great. You see a profit and loss statement that looks fantastic. You talk to customers and they're happy with you. You do a speech and everybody loves you. But you don't actually look at your bank account. You go with these feelings of euphoria about your business and about your financial situation. You're driving the car based on those feelings. But the real facts of the matter is you've got some issues in your business that are making your cash flow shrink instead of increase. And that can happen a lot. And we've talked a bunch of times about the difference between your profit and loss statement and your bank account. But your GPS is the balance in that bank account and what's happening in it, how you forecast what's happening in it. So we want to make sure you don't have money dysmorphia either way, because both of those can be crippling to a CFO. All right, then we have the old quiet luxury. And this is more talking about personal finances, but again, I think that it can really apply to businesses as well. Quiet luxury is you don't necessarily let everybody know you have a private jet and put your name on it and brand it, okay? But you do have that private jet. You can use it when you need it. You go quietly, you handle it. You go to the 4-star hotels, but you don't take a lot of videos in them. However, think about this in terms of business. If we think about, I don't know how to put this. If we think about quiet luxury, we can translate it to say, we have confidence in our business. Okay, so if we have quiet luxury as business owners, it means that we know we can come to the table in a negotiation and be very confident that we've got money in the bank. We know that we can plan that week off and it's not going to hurt our business. We're not bragging about it. We're not talking about how rich we are. We're just making decisions with a confidence level that we've got the luxury of making really what some people would consider expensive decisions, or we've got the luxury of making decisions other people can't make right now. We're not bragging about it. We just live it quietly. So in our businesses, it can actually be important. Instead of looking rich, you can just not be bothered, maybe is the way to balance that. Okay. I like this one, rent vesting. And this is really a thing for personal people. So what they're doing in a lot of cases is renting to live by themselves, do their own living. They live in a house that's rented, which is great, because they're saving to buy another house that they rent out to other people and start making passive income from renting. Okay, and this is the important thing to know, because the tradition says, always buy your house, pay down your mortgage, and live in it forever. And that's really kind of an old school way of thinking, because number one, there are ways to use other people's money instead of yours to make money, which is always a better return on investment. But wealth isn't always about owning stuff. In fact, sometimes stuff can tie us down. Wealth is really about having options. And that's one of the things we talked about this morning is, what does financial freedom really mean? In my mind, financial freedom is about having options at every turn. And this is really, to me, one of those examples of what rent vesting is. It's saying, hey, I don't have to necessarily own all the stuff. I just have to find the most efficient ways to either save money or make money from the different stuff that I do own or rent. So there's rent vesting. So those are the terms. And I want to do a quick wrap up here, but this will be what do they call these? The rapid round deal. So here's Pam's take on each one of them, okay? Loud budgeting, be strategic, but don't brag about it. Doom spending, breathe first, buy later. Spaving, get over it. You're not saving money. Cash stuffing, yeah, do it. Just don't use the envelopes. Go ahead and do it in bank accounts. Money dysmorphia, your feelings are not your financials. It's pretty important to remember. Quiet luxury is all about being calm about your cash flow, as opposed to being loud about the lifestyle. And rent vesting, when you have assets, it might not be the best way to have financial freedom. So always know there are alternatives. And although money terms come and go, money trendy terms come and go like these, what's really important is that people are now acknowledging their feelings about money. And if you've watched me, you know that I talk a lot about how feelings drive our money decisions, drive our concepts of how wealthy we can ever be or not be. And the fact that these terms are now coming out of the woodwork in some of these popular platforms tells me that this generation of people is understanding that there are feelings about money and they are okay and they're nothing to be ashamed of. And they drive certain behaviors that we want to be aware of and acknowledge. And all of that also applies to your business. So what we want to do ultimately is be the quietest person in the room and know with confidence we can cover payroll. If this has been useful, click us a like, give us a subscribe, pass it on to any of your friends who might be entrepreneurs and wondering how some of today's trendy chat might apply to them as business owners. You have a great week, and we'll see you next time.